And from now on, I'm setting goals that make me extremely uncomfortable in terms of achievement and capital gains. I won't let my previous limiting beliefs try to convince me I'm a lunatic for knowing these rewards and blessings are coming my way. If you can see it in your mind and visualize the feeling of having it, then I believe it's yours already. And right now, I'm just waiting for reality to align with my mindset. What's going on? You're listening to episode 109 of the Perspective Podcast, and I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective. The show is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the tools for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. At the end of each episode, I share a listener of the week, so stick around to figure out how you can get a shout out on a future episode in the show notes and the newsletter. I hope the Coffee Caffeinated Kick series fueled your epic finish to 2018. If you haven't heard it yet, go back and listen to episode 106 through 108, and I'm pretty sure it's going to provide you the boost you need for 2019 as well. Also, Happy New Year. We did it. We made it through another year. It's time to start this year off with a bang. And today's episode is meant to get you thinking. I'm big on reflecting, and I'm always trying to see what personal growth I can make in my life, or, what kind of progress I made in the last year. How can I really develop and push my craft and further this mindset, this mentality, this savage attack approach, but yet, at the same time, making sure I'm taking care of myself and my body and focusing on what matters most and being there for my family. So there's a lot of moving pieces in life, and I want you to get thinking about all of these things, where you're not just creative hustling 24/7 and get yourself in kind of a negative mindset and a negative hole. For me, 2018 was the most memorable, biggest, and most profitable year in the books yet. From a life standpoint, I became a dad. Enough said. And as I mentioned to Áine as I record this one, lately it's been hard getting sleep. But we make it work. But from a business standpoint, it was filled with talks, workshops, podcast episodes, murals, freelance, live art shows, you name it. I feel like I did it this year. And it was a lot of good stuff, yet I find myself questioning, was it all the right stuff? And this past year, I've failed a lot. I've learned a lot. I know there's a ton of room for improvement, which excites me. That's why today I've reflected and shared the top 5 most enlightening lessons learned from 2018 to help you dominate your next chapter in 2019. The goal again is to get you thinking bigger with more focus and intent while believing in yourself and your work. You can find the show notes of this episode at perspective-collective.com/109. And let me know what you think. I love seeing this, so take a screenshot or a video of you listening to the podcast or whatever episode you're on. Tag me on your Instagram stories and let's connect. As always, keep an open mind and act on what resonates with you today. Let's go. Let's move into the first enlightening lesson of 2018. Stop hiding and embrace who you are. It's really hard for the world to believe in you when you don't accept and believe in yourself. For the longest time, I've been so self-conscious of what people think of me, mainly because I didn't love and embrace who I am, nor believe in my abilities. Creative abilities are just skill sets for life. Back in 2015, I had my first real big talk. I talk about it here often. For me, this was my first break. And I spoke at Creative South, shout out to my Creative South family, and claimed that I was a creative coach on stage, even though I had no idea what I was talking about. For the longest time, especially after I gave that talk and during that talk, I felt like a fraud and this filtered phony projecting this version of myself to people that I didn't even believe in. And I spent the rest of 2015 and 3/4 of this year's worth of 2018 searching for my identity and giving people this safe answer that I'm just an artist and designer. Really, I felt like I was more than that, but, I didn't believe it. And that is until I found my identity back in episode 101. I am a creative coach. That's who I am. I am a creative coach who's been put here on this earth's surface with my purpose is to serve, encourage, and teach and connect with my fellow creative grinders such as yourself. I'm here to constantly push you to be the best version of yourself so you can enjoy what you create while hopefully making an impact on others. And that's why this January, this is a total side note here, I'm just throwing this in. That's why this January, I'll be offering 5 one-on-one coaching sessions to pursue this coaching creative career more intentionally, okay? I'm going to start living up to it. And more on this coming soon, but just so you know, my private Facebook group, the Perspective-Collective, okay, my private Facebook group family, they're going to get first dibs on these spots. So, if you want to be a part of this and get first crack at landing one of these 5 one-on-one sessions in January, join that group. Just an FYI, and I'll come back on this with the later episode soon, or just find me on social media. I'll be talking about it. But in 2019, I'm stepping into and fully embracing this person I'm supposed to become. Weird pizza and space-loving cat quirks and all. And I'm ready to deal with any hate or criticism sent my way from those thinking I'm too cheesy, cliche, or fake. They don't like my work. They think I'm ripping someone off, yada, yada, yada. I've pretty much heard all of this shit. And I'm ready to, not let it bother me anymore. I'm over it. I'm embracing who I am. I'm accepting who I am. And I won't hide anymore. And I'm bringing my truest and most authentic self to the table each week. And I hope you pull up a chair next to me. All right. Enlightening lesson number 2 from 2018. Know what you want. I'm talking about vision, plan, and focus. If you don't know what you want, where you're going, or who you want to be, how do you expect to create the life you want? Having a defined vision was by far the second biggest lesson I learned in 2018. And my vision really came into focus after attending the Summit of Greatness this past October. And for real, please go back, listen to episode 101 titled Born for Greatness, perspective-collective.com/101 if you don't know how this works yet. I describe how I had these breakthroughs and how you can get clarity on your vision and kind of the 4 steps that went into this. And for me, clarity on your vision, I believe this is the main key to truly take your games to the next level and think bigger and get what you want in life at the same time while making an impact and serving other people. It's all interconnected, in the adversity that you go through. For real, that episode has a lot of gold tucked into it, and I really think it's going to help you start thinking things along through and get some more clarity on what steps you want to take in 2019. And for me, I know what I want now. It's crazy. I know what I want. And it becomes clearer each day the more I focus on sticking to a plan, which we're going to talk more about in the next lesson, number 3. So, I want to ask you, right now, what do you want and how are you going to make it happen? Okay, vision, plan, and then what are you going to focus on to do it? And this is where I want to give you an action step. So by the end of the day, I'm giving you homework right now. I want you to take 5 to 10 minutes to think and write down the one main thing you want to accomplish in 2019. Instead of biting off so many different things to chew, like I want to accomplish this in my personal development, I want to accomplish this in financial, I want to accomplish this here and this here, that's pretty overwhelming, especially if you don't have a good start on doing all this. Maybe if you're 5 years into this grind and building up these habits, I want you to build one thing. And this isn't none of that resolution bullshit. We're making a new habit. We're going to accomplish something in 2019. So what's that one thing? Be as specific as you can. Maybe you're going to do a podcast episode. You're going to do 50 episodes this year. It's going to be weekly frequency. And maybe you're going to make one custom image for it. I'm pretty much just telling you what one of my goals was back in 2016 when I started this. So again, be as specific as you can. Tie a start date and an accomplish date to it to create a sense of urgency. And make a plan of what you need to do each day, each week, and each month to make it happen. And at the same time, visualization, affirmation. See that you've already done this in your head. Okay? Say nice things to yourself each day. Even get into, anything that can pump you up. Good self-talk. Always seeing it through in your mind first. Because if you can see it in your mind, I'm getting ahead of myself. But if you can see it in your mind, to me, it's yours already. Enlightening lesson number 3. Say no so you can say yes. Normally, I'm the type of person that if an opportunity came my way, My mouth would always say yes before my brain even has time to function and think it through. I've gotten myself into a whole world of mess multiple times before little Scotty was born, and pissing off my wife because something would pop up. I'm like, hell yeah, that sounds dope. Of course I'll take that on. I have no capacity in my schedule or in my project load right now, but shit, yeah, that sounds fun. And since little Scotty was born, I've had to really dig deep and ask myself, what's most important in life? Where should I be focusing my time? And if I make this decision, how does it affect my family? That's the most important one. That one lives in my head right now, and it keeps me in check. And the more I think, write, and I speak it publicly, the more accountable I become to my commitments of what does and doesn't matter. Even though sometimes I start to teeter-totter and be like, oh man, this seems like a really good opportunity. Maybe I can make a quick buck, but no, it doesn't work like that anymore. So I'm publicly claiming what matters most to me. All right. And first off, that's family. And I put out an Instagram post, give it some time, about a month ago now, this would have been. And I just talked about how selfish I've been over the last couple of years and how I see it now, and how like I still am wired selfishly. Like, damn, I really wish I had time to go work on this. But no, it doesn't matter. And my homeboy, Jonathan Jackson, he's a designer developer for web designer, UI, UX for the Forefathers. Absolutely incredible person, super talented, actually really funny, brilliant, and a really great writer. But he said something to me that just sticks. And he said, he commented on one of my Facebook statuses, is your kids don't care about your portfolio. And that lives in my head right now. Like, I don't think he realized how big of an impact that was. He's just so eloquent with his words anyway. And he's just a straight shooter. He's got an edge to him. He don't give a shit about sugarcoating anything. And I respect that. And that's what I want to do. And your kids don't care about your portfolio. So be present. Okay. You took the time to make this kid. So make time to be a dad, make time to be a parent, and be the best freaking parent that you can be. And that's me right now. I want that. And in the past, I always talked about this too. So like being so focused and obsessed with your dream that you kind of neglect the people around you who are most important. So what's the point of building this empire if you turn around and there's no one to celebrate it with? And so that's why I have focused time. I grind in the mornings. I'm up early as hell so I can work on my dream. I have a deal with my wife. I get up at like 4:30 a.m. and I grind until 7 before I take Scotty to daycare. And then at night, I'm checked in. I'm checked in unless her and him are gone doing something, and then I can tap into the dream a little bit more. So family is number one on my list. Sorry for that tangent. Number 2, what matters the most is self-care, mental and physical. And the more I keep listening to these podcasts, these audiobooks of these mega millionaires and personal development and big time speakers, the more I keep hearing about is mental and physical health and spiritual. But I'm not as experienced in that, so I can't really talk about that right now. But the more you focus on taking care of yourself, the more energy and life you have to invest in your work as well as in others. And my self-care, mental and physical, has been pushed aside since Scotty was born. He's number one in life right now. And we got to get it back to where me and Emily, we put ourselves, up there at the top of the pedestal to focus on us. Because how can we take care of a kid if we're not in our tip-top shape? How can I bring value to you if my brain's not functioning because I'm tired as shit all the time? Or I'm grinding myself to the bone, exhausted, and, not unplugging when I need to recharge. And at the beginning of the year, her and I are going to go get our asses kicked at this 8-week high-intensity training, kickboxing, weights, and cardio class program. Dude, I'm going to get my ass whooped. I might need to take a week off from the podcast just so I can recover. But what matters most? Okay, number 3 is serving. And what I mean by this is serving you. How can I serve humanity? How can I bring value to people's life? You have a conversation with me. How can I leave you a better person? Or how can I give you something without expecting anything in return? And I think the best way for me to serve is by scaling this podcast. Hands down, the most clarity I've ever had on a vision is the podcast is where I make my greatest impact. And I find the most fulfillment as a creative coach, as a human, as a person. I enjoy doing this so much, and I love connecting with you. Especially over like Instagram, that seems to be the hotbed of, me getting to meet people at the moment, listeners to the show, and bringing on people from the show. And my goal, I'm mentioning this, I'm going to continue to mention it. The more I think, speak, and act, the more this will come into existence. So the goal with the podcast, become a top 10 design arts podcast on Apple Podcasts by 2020. That's it. It's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And the more this podcast continues to grow, the more the good word reaches out to someone who I feel needs it the most. And at the same time, I'm getting creatively fulfilled, so it's a win-win. And also by serving, again, I'm starting up my coaching program in 2019 to provide creatives even more targeted and personalized value. With all the questions I get through my email or the questions I get through the Facebook group, people asking if they can have one-on-one Skype conversation with me. And I'm sorry, it's hard for me to just do that an hour out of my day now when I'm so swamped as it is. Like, I have to be able to make some kind of profit, make it worth my time. I totally understand that, but I'm going to go all out to deliver you as much personalized value as possible to help you take that next step. And what matters most? So we got family, self-care, serving. Let's talk about friends. All right, they're down on the totem pole, but they're still high up there. All of this is kind of the most important things in my life. So, family will be first, but once in a blue moon, I got to disconnect from the dream, and I got to spend time with those who have always been around and maybe catch a buzz. I don't know. Maybe have a couple of drinks, maybe here and there. But I realized that since I've been so obsessed with my dream, I don't get the phone calls that I used to get. And it's nice now that I have a kid. A lot of my best friends that I grew up with from high school or close college friends, they have kids now too. And now we get to all reconnect and have our kids hang out while we hang out and catch up. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And it's really nice to not necessarily fix those relationships, but, concrete that bond again. And those people that don't hit me up anymore and they're on to other things, that's fine. We're just on different frequencies. It is what it is. And I want to kick it with the people who understand what I'm trying to achieve in life and they want to support it. Those are the friends I want to be surrounded by. Everybody else who has a problem with it, I trim the fat. It is what it is. Deuces, peace out, see you later. I don't care. And the last thing I want to focus on is murals. So I've taken a lot of petty freelance projects on over this year just to hustle to make a buck to cover maternity leave and paternity leave for me. And the buck stops here. Murals is what makes me feel most alive and challenged when it does come to taking on work. And that's pretty much the only freelance I'm going to be taking on this year, unless something crazy comes along with a brand or something that I really love that vibes to me, then I'm going to take that on. But all if it needs to get wifey's green light. Okay, I need Emily's permission to only take on hell yes opportunities. And we already agreed the podcast and murals is pretty much what I'm focusing on in 2019. I'm really, really focusing on these two things. And let's breeze through the things that don't matter because this episode's going way longer than I thought. So, small freelance projects. They don't pay well compared to the time that goes into them, and it's just not worth my time. It seriously is not worth it. It makes me say no to the big things that matter, like podcasting or if a mural situation comes up. So small freelance projects, I'm sorry, no t-shirt designs, no this, no that. I can't do it. And honestly, no personalized gifts. It takes me away from busting out podcast artwork, and that's way more important. And what doesn't matter is spending my money on dumb shit. If I want to provide for my family, pay off debt, and do Perspective Collective full-time, then money must be used wisely. Stop buying dumb art supplies that I don't need when I got a shit ton of art supplies already in my office. All right? Or don't go out all the time and be a worthless piece of shit person who's hungover. And feeling this way and being hungover, it sets me back. I'm not able to grind on the weekends where I have the most time to go after my dream. So, get my priorities straight. And I don't go out all the time. I used to be 2-3 times a week out of college, and I'm lucky if I go out maybe once every 2 or 3 months now. And when I go out, I go out. All right, it's not just have a drink and go home. So to wrap this life lesson up over here, remember when you say yes to something, you're in turn then saying no to something else. So make sure you're saying yes to the things that matter most. Enlightening lesson number 4: ask for help and delegate. This one has been huge for me because I'm not one who asks for help. So all my life, I loved the responsibility and pressure of owning everything on my plate. And more specifically, owning all of this meant that I got all the credit and I reaped all the rewards, all the recognition, all the accolades, anything that comes with it, I owned it. However, there's only so much you can accomplish by owning every task, big or small. and keeping your head down and your eyes down, focusing on the small grunt tasks, make it really hard to keep your eyes up and look forward to the bigger picture. And I get it. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and I don't have lots of money, but in this mindset, everything is abundant. So this is previous me talking. So I get it. It's hard to pay to hire help, especially if you don't have a lot of money, to do the small things you feel you can do better than anyone. It's just in your routine. Yet, when you delegate or you get help, or you're able to make bigger moves that yield greater results than when you roll solo, that it's totally worth looking into seeking out help and delegation. And the best example of delegating and hiring was with the podcast in 2018. So I hired Áine, Brennan, who's editing this right now. I hired her as my editor super late 2017 of December. I think she did like the last episode going into 2018. And the results from January to March, my podcast monthly downloads tripled. That's a big jump. And because of her, I've been able to build a queue and work ahead instead of, this weekly episode grind, like, oh, got to record on this day because it goes out within 6 days. Got to get this artwork done at this time. Got show notes. I got the newsletter. I got the host to set up. Like, I got to optimize all these images. It's a lot of work. And for the first year and a half, almost 2 years, I did it weekly. No queue, no working ahead. It was super stressful, but Áine has allowed to really take some of that baggage off me. And giving up podcast editing, like, that's hard, and I'm super picky. So that was really hard for me to give up. And Áine's done an incredible job. And the next little bit of delegation and hiring was hiring Paige, Garland, earlier in June 2018 as the show notes editor. And she has since carved out a role as executive assistant. And the results of this, the monthly podcast downloads doubled from June to the end of August. And I hit that 100,000 downloads way quicker than I ever imagined. That was a stretch goal at a time. And because of Paige on the team, I've really been able to crank and work ahead and build a queue, as she owns the show notes now. She owns my hosting, getting that prepped up. She owns the newsletter. She's getting into helping me bring on guests, and do the scheduling. She does all my proofreading. I have like little side projects all the time that I'm always, delegating to her and breaking her off some side money and, paying her for all these little things that normally I would own, but they take me away from the bigger picture tasks. And the overall results of hiring these two awesome, amazing humans is their help has allowed me to work ahead, plan months out in advance. Dude, I'm like scheduling guests out to like May right now. And as I record this, it's the beginning of December. All right, and with their help, I've been able to land sponsors, bring on bigger guests, focus on bigger picture tasks, which is most important, to better know and serve my audience. All right, I want to serve you better, and I can't do that with my head looking down doing grunt work, or not necessarily grunt work, but just small tasks. I can't do it. I can't serve you better that way. And the final thing for overall results is it took me under 2 years, August 2016 to almost August 2018. It was more July to hit 100,000 downloads. But it's now taking me 4 months to hit the next 100,000 downloads, when before it took me 2 years, because of their help. All right, I was able to scale this significantly because of those two. So thank you, Áine. Thank you, Paige. And I'm learning that delegation and not being too proud to seek help from others allows you to scale things and make a bigger impact. And again, every day I'm constantly looking for new tasks to hand off to Paige, or something I can ask my wife for help for, or getting Áine's feedback, or just being open. How can I give you more and take care of you and provide you more value? How can I get more things off my plate so I can, work on the things that matter most? And I'm finding out these ladies are doing things far better than I ever did. You don't have to do it all. Help yourself by seeking help. All right, let's wrap this up. Enlightening lesson number 5, think bigger and stop limiting yourself. It took me 30 years to realize I've been living in a box. And these invisible, influenced, and self-built walls around me limited my mind from seeing and thinking bigger. All right, I thought small potatoes. I've been operating my whole life from this mindset of lack, which caused abundance and freedom to rarely show their faces. And this isn't an overnight change in my way of thinking. This is a daily practice that will transform into a long-term fruitful habit. Like, this shit isn't a resolution. This is a habit I'm building. All right, daily habit. And from now on, I'm setting goals that make me extremely uncomfortable in terms of achievement and capital gains. I won't let my previous limiting beliefs try to convince me I'm a lunatic for knowing these rewards and blessings are coming my way. If you can see it in your mind and visualize the feeling of having it, then I believe it's yours already. And right now, I'm just waiting for reality to align with my mindset. So in conclusion, what are your biggest lessons of 2018? If you haven't reflected on this past year, I strongly encourage you to do this ASAP. It really puts things into perspective of where you should or shouldn't be focusing your time and efforts. And if today you vibed out to my top 5 enlightening lessons of 2018, how can you apply some of these tactics to your own mindset and daily approach? Embrace yourself, know what you want, say yes to the essential, ask for help, and stop limiting yourself. I feel these are some of the secret seasonings to create a recipe to dominate 2019. I believe in you. All right, you have what it takes. You are totally capable. You listen to this show, so I know you're the right person. You have what it takes to make shit happen for yourself. But it starts with believing in yourself first. All right, PC family, episode 109 in the books. I'm going to celebrate this episode and this new year off by taking a sip of my coffee. I hope you sip yours. Delicious. That tastes like victory. So with 109 in the books and moving forward the rest of this year, I'm always trying to keep it as real as possible with you. No sugarcoating, no bullshit, just always straight up honest with you. And I'm learning that if you really want to make a thriving career out of your creative side hustle, that creative grind of yours, much of it falls between the mental space in between your ears. All right. And it also falls on the passion for your craft and your ability to focus, the discipline, and saying no so you can say yes, and saying yes so you can say no to things. And these aren't things that you master overnight. Okay, if you're just starting off, you can't master this shit overnight. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I still haven't mastered any of this, okay? It's just a daily grind and a daily mindset, and every day you have to pour a little bit into developing yourself, and that's why this is fuel for your mind and creative grind. It's personal development based. It's all about mindset and building up your mind so you can conquer the day and win it when that imposter syndrome or that inner critic tries to tear you down. Every little bit of consistent effort over time helps you become the person you want to be and attract the opportunities that you want. I'm stoked to have you along for the ride as I keep finding my next level and I keep turning into the next chapter, finding this next season of my life, and I'm so stoked to have you along for it. I'm hoping what I learned and share along the way helps you take the next steps so you can also level up, but at the same time, pass what you learn off to the next person. And I'm stoked for the abundance of opportunities that are coming my way because I know they're coming, and I'm stoked for the ones that are coming your way in 2019. So let's kick some ass together. I got your back. Moving on to the listener of the week, and this one comes from Ira Miri, and it's titled Great Creative Podcast. She states, I'm fairly new to podcasts in general. Only a few months ago, I took the plunge into this undiscovered world, and I've been hooked ever since. At some points, I started searching for creative podcasts, and I stumbled across this gem. Sweet. The Perspective Podcast is a motivational podcast for creatives by Scotty.D.Russell. I've been enjoying them ever since I started listening. The podcasts are very motivating when you're in need of an inspirational boost. There are interviews with other creatives that often leave you with a new aha moment, but I'm also appreciative for the host's own perspective on things. In short, awesome podcast to listen to while at work while you're a creative like me. Thank you, Miriam. You are an insanely talented illustrator and very colorful work, and I really dig how you've been introducing lettering along with your illustrations. So thank you so much for your time and connecting with me on Instagram and leaving a review here. I hope you appreciate the love back. And if you want to be the listener of the week and get a shout out on a future episode of the podcast, show notes, and newsletter, all you have to do is 1, make sure you subscribe, and then 2, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I can now see international reviews too. And show me a little love, I'll show you a little love back. So scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And as I wrap things up, I want to give a huge thanks to my podcast editor, Áine Brennan, and my executive assistant, Paige Garland. I could not do this without you two ladies. And a huge thanks goes to Nick Jenkins of Blookah for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. Listen and support him at SoundCloud, Spotify, and Instagram at Blookah. That's Blookah. And he just dropped a new EP out. I believe it's out right now. Otherwise, it'll be out soon this month. I didn't have the exact date, but it's coming. So go support that dude. And as you finish off this week strong, I want to continue to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this.